I'm not going to hide that I've got this.
No,
so it's
no, absolutely not. I mean, you really can't make it through the week without the agenda.
Yeah. We've learned more and more that we don't have to hide anything from our audience. They like that we're real.
Transparent.
We just show up and we begin maybe like the podcast, just like that.
Well,
that's what real podcasts do, Jimmy.
Well, we've done that from the beginning. When we started the podcast, you told me just be yourself, and that's what we've done for going on our 4th season. So
77 years now.
Oh, geez,
it feels like it. If you would have been a part of our setup just a little bit ago, I took an early flight out of DFW this morning, and so I was actually in the hotel probably 10:30 this morning.
Probably before that, but yeah.
10:30 was unpacked, like ready to go, right? And so I meet Jimmy down here, meet the rest of the team here. We've got several folks here. Carly and Randy showed up, and they're like, hey, let's go ahead and unload the vehicle. So we went down to the parking garage, which was about, 7.5 miles away. And what is it? 94 degrees here.
Well, and 200% humidity.
Yeah.
You go out in that garage and all of a sudden they're like vapor is everywhere.
For sure. So there's a little condensation going. So anyway, we haul everything back, start building. And then Jimmy and I come out and try to scout where we're going to have the podcast, right? Live from
And I did
LGA.
that this morning at 8 a.m., 7:30.
By the way, we're at the LGA Pipeline Safety Conference.
Yes.
For context. And so we get out here and we find our spot. We find another spot. We find another spot. And finally we pick one and we get completely set up. And we do a sound check and we look at the video and we're so dark and shadowy that we couldn't use that spot. And so here we drifted around this hall looking for the right spot, looking for the right light. And we pray that we have found it. So,
it's easier when there's not video going because all we really have to worry about is this one thing, the microphone,
That's right. That's right. But we've learned so much over all this live recording the past 3 years, really now, 2.5, 3 years of it, that nothing flusters us. Jimmy's so funny. We just kind of walk around and go, okay, yep, all right, yep.
Is that what I say?
We're moving it over here. Okay.
Here we go.
All right, boss. Let me go get some water and we'll move this for the 14th time. And you got to understand too, we're in the middle of a hall. Anybody who's set up for one of these conferences knows people are pouring in like, as you see behind us.
Yeah.
People have constantly come in all day long. So you stop and you talk with somebody and you shake hands and
we're
catch up.
in the main area.
And so it's been a comedy of a start.
Well, they go
always though.
Yeah, but they go into the hall. We're in one place. They go into the hall. They start to set up their booth. They come out and they're like, "Wait a minute, you guys were over there a minute ago. Now you're over here." We're like, "Well, give it 5 more minutes. We'll be at another location."
The life of a salesperson, if you will, or someone who's definitely on the road. We see some stuff.
Oh, we see a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and that's just a day in the life, man.
But you know what makes it fun and exciting, and honestly, like we talk about, we have to have fun every day. As long as we're having fun, things are good, right?
And I wouldn't trade already this morning. We've got to talk with so many of our friends and so many folks that are here. That, man, I have a lot of respect for this group down here, and I've only been to one of these shows. And already I fell in love with this show last year.
And I kept telling you for the 4 years before it, James, 100%. We got to go. And you kept saying, blah, 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 blah.
Well, it wasn't a territory kind of conversation always, right? But this is a kind of bigger than territory type of conversation. I would say this conference in particular.
It is. It's a very unique conference, James. And I've been coming to this for about the last 15 years. And the most interesting thing about it is, one, it is a Louisiana LGA, Louisiana Gas Association show, but it's really much more than that. They partner up with the Louisiana Department of Natural Resources, and they kind of work in tandem together to put the show on. They have been doing that for years and years and years. And I would say the most interesting part about this is that it is a compliance regulatory type of environment where it started off, and it's still known as the 192, 195. And when we talk about 192 and 195, we're talking about natural gas pipelines, and we're talking about wet or oil pipelines.
Yeah. So break that down a little bit more, because I saw on the agenda, I saw like 191. Maybe some other ones as well. So those are all I saw LNG on there.
That's 193. Like that. Okay. And so LNG is covered too. So, the 191, I think is that going into the hydrogen world. And so there's many different aspects of it.
Gotcha. So like the whole gamut of regulation, really.
Yeah.
When we think about it. Gotcha. It's an inside joke that'll never get old.
We'll tell you later. But anyways, it is known as 192, 195, and it goes go 191, 192, 193, 195, and more. So everything from propane, hydrogen, LNG, natural gas, oil. And again, when you think about Louisiana is probably known as the energy capital of the Western Hemisphere. I mean, it happens here, both onshore and, again, as many folks know, offshore. And so many of the platforms and such actually originate here and go out. And we're going to I'm jumping ahead, but
go ahead.
Well, on Thursday, we get a chance to go down to the Loop and take a look at the let's just call it, I believe I don't even know what it stands for officially, James, but
I'm going to look it up because
it's really the offshore stepping off point where things do go from land being created, being built, being, fabricated, then to being launched, so to speak, out to the Gulf of Mexico and even further.
And they call it the Loop on here too. I was hoping to get, and I'll pull it up on the app. But this agenda is full, Jimmy. While I look this up, all the big hitters in our industry, as far as when you think regulation, regulatory folks, you see all the PHMSA names are incredible.
Well, you're absolutely right, and the PHMSA folks have been supporting this for years. Again, it really goes to what we talk about in the industry as relationships and alliances. And so when the Louisiana regulators reached out to the PHMSA folks and invited them years and years back, I mean, ever since I've been coming, I always thought it was amazing the amount of PHMSA folks that were here giving presentations. And again, they're all extremely pertinent. They're pertinent to actually what's happening today. I know in past conferences, people have said, hey, in the last 3 weeks, this has happened. And they've given that in their presentations. And it's critical to know that, again, when we're looking at almost 700 folks, if not more, attending this year as well as other years from across the nation, probably 20 plus states, it is really, that really sets the stage as to how important it is. When people look at conferences for regulatory and compliance, this is one of the ones that people look to go to each and every year.
Yeah, I know we loaded up our team as well. Thank you so much. We loaded up our team when it comes to regulatory compliance as well. We brought the whole group. I believe we got several folks on the agenda as well. Jimmy, I was looking at the agenda at some of the names, some of the PHMSA folks. Tyler Dean, remember meeting him?
Oh, yeah.
I think we were on the plane with him one time. Wayne St. Germain.
Bill Lowry's coming.
Yeah, Bill Lowry.
He's an old friend.
Former regulators out the wazoo. Can you say that? I think so.
Brian Dressel will be here.
Dressel will be there. Man, so many good folks. We saw Warren Miller earlier, of course, is here.
Yep.
We saw John Jacoby. Man, just full, Jimmy.
Well, and again, the key to it is one thing about the history. I'll tell you, back in 2008 and 9, it was a split week, James. At that point, it was really focused on 192 and 195, and we used to come in either Monday, Tuesday, and then leave Wednesday for the oil and or the natural gas, and then you would come in Wednesday afternoon for Thursday and Friday for, again, the opposite of it, or the next one. And they alternated each and every year. But then so many people had interest in both of them that now the conference for the whole
Kind of
40.
blended.
It is all blended together, and it's really powerful. I think knowledge is a key. Education and knowledge is a key to everything that we do. And so when you have the ability to sit in on things that maybe not, again, LNG, for instance, a lot of folks may not be applicable to them, but for them to be able to sit in some LNG sessions and learn about it, understand the export aspect, understand the pipeline aspect.
You know, it's funny you said that. I had a conversation with my Uber driver on the way in, and he was like, I don't understand how I understand the export of oil, but I don't understand the export of natural gas and how it's done. And guess who educated him?
Did you give it to him?
I did. I explained it. I talked about LNG, and it was crazy because I knew from our presentations, from being around you, from the industry, just the different ways and why and what made sense and what didn't. And he told me on the way in, his name was James as well.
Good name.
So obviously a great guy.
Yeah.
And he said he learned so much being an Uber driver because everybody's so diverse.
Oh, yeah.
He said, I never would have learned that today. And he goes, I've been to some of the ports and I've never understood that. And he said, you taught me that. And so, in the spirit of LGA, in the spirit of this week, it doesn't even stop on these walls. Jimmy, you said it earlier. It's kind of neat how many echoes this conference will make for the next 364 days.
Absolutely, it will. Yeah.
A lot of folks come in here to learn the things they need to go back and educate their folks with in order to be compliant, to be safe, and to be trained throughout this industry. No matter what segment they're in, 191, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever.
Well, and when you really think about it, yes, they're very specific to certain molecules and certain whatever's in the pipe, but the pipe are pipes. Mm-hmm. And they do, again, they're different in many aspects for what actually is flowing through them. But in other ways, they're very similar when you think about the one thing that is the absolute keystone and cornerstone to our industries, let's call it, and that is safety. Safety is number one. So when you look at PSMS models, it doesn't matter if it's 192, 195, whatever the case may be, it has to do with safety. And there are best practices. There's things that we have learned that we need to share, that we need to make sure that others are understanding really the successes. And unfortunately, if there are any not so much successes, I'll be kind and say it that way, we need to learn from that too.
From our friends with the pipeline.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. I looked it up.
Yeah.
Louisiana Offshore Oil Port.
Yep.
So that's the loop. It's really neat. They on the website, you can learn a little more about it. I don't know what the website is, but I should probably know that before I mention it.
Probably if you Google Loop and New Orleans, or you'll probably find it.
Maybe. Well, we're here all week, Jimmy. We're on your turf. We're going to be eating some oysters all week long.
Yeah, no, the food
here is excellent.
Louisiana is one of the most unique places I've ever gone to. When I lived in Houston, I used to come over quite a bit. And I tell you, sometimes I say it jokingly, it's like another country.
It really is.
Napoleonic Code, for the law. I mean, there's a lot of very unique things and a lot of rich in history. I believe New Orleans has celebrated just in the last year or two its 300th anniversary.
Wow.
So,
man, somebody did their homework.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah.
Oh, this is just. I just
ready
this stuff. I love NOLA and everything about it. And again, it was formed as a city well before the United States was actually formed into what we are. So it's rich in history, and there's so many good things. And I'll tell you, the food. If we don't leave this week, James, 10 pounds heavier, we haven't done our job well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm on track. All right. Well, hey, we're going to bring some great guests on this week. Anybody you're looking forward to, Jimmy? You're going to name drop anybody? I'm hoping we can get Stephen Giambroni on.
Stephen's going to come on for sure.
Surely he will.
Jim Denham from Southern Company, he's going to come on, talk about a lot of the pipeline stuff that they have going on, some of the safety initiatives.
Yeah. Some of these regulators, I don't know what the legal ramifications are, whether you can come on and talk about things, but
Well,
You know,
they can, if it's been published, they can talk
works out.
about it. So we have to make sure it's something that's been published and published recently, and then they can talk about it. So,
all right. Well, we'll be here all week. That's my old man joke all week.
all right.
All right.
Wait, we're shaking hands.
Yeah.
You can't see it.
Yeah. We just shook hands awkwardly.
It was good. And I'm sitting on a pillow, but that's another story.
Oh, that's for the outro. We'll see y'all.
See ya.
So, we do it every time.
Yes,
just
we
get
do.
Started and reminiscing, and
Which is great.
that everyone back home doesn't necessarily know who you are. Maybe there's a few people in Louisiana that don't know.
Small percentage.
I would say very small.
Do us a favor and introduce yourself to the folks back home.
I am Sue Guidry. I hail from a very tiny town called Mermentau, Louisiana. Most of you have never heard of it. I work in Sulphur, Louisiana. My company is Targa Resources, and I'm a senior compliance specialist there. Right now, I have the distinct privilege and honor of also being the president of the Louisiana Gas Association.
And the unofficial queen of New Orleans.
Oh, that's true. Unofficial queen of New Orleans. And I don't have my crown today.
No, but there allegedly may have been a crown.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And it's very fitting, just so you know.
Thank you. Thank
It
you.
is. Well, last night we were talking and we concocted a plan and we were all in on it, right?
Yes, yes.
We were networking last night and Randy was around. We had Randy on
Randy
yesterday
Adams.
from EWN.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Cafe Du Monde. We asked the question to you, if you had to choose. And so this morning, Randy ran and got fresh beignets.
Yes.
And coffee.
And coffee.
Cafe au lait.
There you go.
Cafe au lait.
And so let's start by divvying that out. I think there's everybody grab one.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
And I mean, I know it's probably not good etiquette to eat and have a podcast, but when have we had etiquette?
We have that.
But if you're in New Orleans, what else do you do?
I mean, you're gonna.
New
dip
Orleans
this
is all about the
beignet.
food anyway, right?
I tell you what, I've been on a journey this week. We have ate some fantastic food here, Jimmy.
We have had phenomenal food. Everything from charbroiled oysters at Drago to,
oh man, we had some good stuff.
and beyond.
This is a whole thing.
Pittsburgh style steaks,
We learned.
po' boys.
I'm gonna let everybody.
What is
grab
the
what they
difference
want.
between Pittsburgh style steaks and regular steaks?
Well, what a Pittsburgh steak, we learned about this is that they take a steak, especially like a New York strip, and they flash sear it on very hot, almost blacken the outside with lots of seasoning and such.
Mm-hmm.
But the inside is very rare to, at the best, medium rare. So, I mean, it's
wow.
so it comes out and you're like, oh, that looks really cooked. Yeah.
Now, years ago, and
Sure.
I don't think they still do it, but the Omni Hotel used to do a seared steak that they would cook in a little flat iron skillet.
Okay.
And then before they served it to you, just before they served it to you, they would coat it in steamed syrup and put it back in that hot pan and glaze it.
Ooh.
Talk about good.
Well, the steak I had Creole butter on it.
Oh,
And it was something special.
about a half a pound of butter, too.
Cheers, my friend. I would
Cheers.
you, but I'm safety first. And I hope you get
Coffee is
powdered
not
sugar all over.
hot,
Mm.
so it's good. It's awesome.
You notice I took my jacket off? Pro move.
I'm going to wear it.
Mm.
Sue, your
Yes.
Involvement in the LGA.
your reign as queen
Yes.
or president of LGA is what, coming to an end in November?
In November, it will come to an end. Yes. I will have served my 2 years.
So it's a 2-year term here at LGA.
It is a 2-year term, and it is a line of succession. So the next president is not voted in. They were voted in 4 years ago. And
I
so
was
we
gonna
have a
say.
first vice president and a second vice
So it's
president.
on a sliding 4-year kind of
Yes.
scale.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
So I knew 6 years ago I was going to be president. And it was like, really?
Were you excited?
I had a lot of, to use a big word, trepidation.
Why?
I did, because when I started with this organization, most of the people that were on the board
Yep.
were almost the ones who had been here from inception. So they had been here, mid 80s, late 80s, and they scared the heck out of me, frankly, because they were so knowledgeable. They knew what they were talking about. And I felt like I was a fish out of water kind of thing. And because a lot of it dealt with distribution piping.
Okay.
My company doesn't have distribution. We have transmission.
Transmission.
And that is the distinct thing right now. Our LGA board is made up of 25 board members from different companies, distribution, transmission, associate members who are the vendors that deal with people like
Us.
EWN that provide the services and goods that we use. And a couple of these people were so smart that I felt, what am I doing on this board? Right now, our 25 board member, it's only men and me. And the guys joke that they don't have a problem taking orders from me because they've been doing it all their lives from their wives. So, but it's
Shout out.
Yeah. Mic drop on that one.
So for those that don't know it, yesterday we kind of celebrated you. It was 33 years, correct?
3 years that I have worked for this same company, Targa Resources. Of course, it wasn't Targa when I started.
Right.
Companies that were bought and sold and whatever. But I have been with the same group of people, the same location for 33 years now.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
We got
About 45 years in the industry. So even though I'm only, like 37.
And you started at, I was going to say 4, but how's that sound? When did you start with the LGA? If you've been with Target for 33 years, when was your first ballpark?
I was going to say I eased my way into the LGA because the first way I got involved was they were looking for more transmission operators who had liquid pipelines for topics for the Pipeline Safety Conference. And James Mergist, who was over LDNR at the time, said, I know some people. So he called a couple of people from the transmission side and asked us to get involved. And he did a great job and started doing some more topics that were pertinent to the transmission side.
Okay.
And so I started that in this is our 20th year in New Orleans.
Yep.
With this conference, when we moved to New Orleans is when I started doing
so 20 years.
But I have been on the board for 16 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it took you a few years to get your, so to speak, feet wet, and then you jumped in with both feet.
Had to.
Yeah, I think James and I go to a ton of conferences, and we see a lot of value in that because the relationships that we make in our industry are paramount. I mean, we rely on people each and every day.
And I love to see all the podcasts. They are awesome.
Well, thank you.
And y'all have such interesting guests.
Like you, Sue.
I think the very interesting part is really being brave LGA years and decades back and combining 195 liquids and natural gas. Because really, I'm trying to wrap my brain around this. I mean, we don't see that a lot. I mean, we see liquid lines conferences and we see natural gas. There's
what we saw was happening. I think it was a good thing, is that there is a lot of overlap, especially in the newer regulation. So, you get to OQ. Well, OQ applies liquid or gas. It doesn't matter. It's the same regulation. Integrity has a couple of little differences, but for the most part.
Well, and we have great models now and programs, compared to probably, 30 years ago that have evolved. And so we're used to it now, right? Yeah. So it's not as tough. You being such a champion of LGA and beignets, what could you say to the folks that maybe haven't ever been to an LGA event, especially this one, right? Or that might entice them to come out next year?
We have an awesome group of people that prepare not only the hotel. We want a good environment for people to be in, a safe environment. New Orleans is a great city, despite all the bad news you may hear from time to time. It is a great city. It's got a lot of history and culture. And the people that plan this conference do an excellent job. Stephen Giambroni, Director of Pipeline Safety for LDNR, does an awesome job of getting the PHMSA speakers, the TQ speakers, getting them here. Excuse me. And then our management group, the Tatman group, who do a fantastic job.
Outstanding.
And they work throughout this whole week to put out, or even months before, put out, save the date, come to New Orleans, join us here. We get the vendors here. We get the speakers here. It's a great mix of everybody. And I always say this to people, and I've told you guys this before. I should say, not you guys, y'all. Yeah. I've told y'all this before, is that...
Yes, Susan Marie?
Yes, ma'am, sir. I knew that was going to come up sooner or later. You hit me at the wrong point. But we jokingly say this is a huge industry.
Yes.
But it's a tight-knit group of people. So if you go to any other conference, you may run across some of the same people, and they are all passionate and enjoy what they do and love to speak about it.
Can I just interject and build on one thing you said? I have heard so many times over the last few days, people just saying, hey, I just learned, or I was just aware, and when you hear that organically out here, you're like, this is working. The sessions are working. The vendors are working. The vendors have a lot of innovation in the two rooms. And it's exciting when people get here at the end of the week, they walk away saying, I'm better equipped with some new knowledge
and
than when I came here.
This week, I unfortunately, and don't tell my bosses,
I'm not.
But I have not been able to sit in on as many sessions as I normally would.
Same.
But the sessions I've sat in have been well attended.
Yeah.
The speakers have been very, very good and engaging the audience, and the audience is participating and asking those questions, just like you're saying.
Yep.
I don't understand this. Can you explain it to me? And the speakers have been phenomenal about getting those points across.
It's not a one-way dissertation, so to speak. It's a communication. It's a discussion,
it's
almost.
Conversation.
Yeah.
And the great thing is, in those sessions, somebody may have a question that you didn't even know you needed to hear an answer to. And then you go, yes, we have that same situation.
Yeah, the answer's in the room kind of thing.
Yes, yes.
Well, I told Jim Brony last night, there's something special going on here. We get to attend a lot of events, and this isn't a knock on any event.
No.
This is an accolade for this one is there's something special about what's built here. And some of it's history, but some of it is continuing to innovate and change and iterate, just like our programs, right? It's no different. Plan, do, check, act is the same, whether it's a public awareness or it's a program, right? So it's exciting to see this group together. So you must be proud of that.
I really am, and I'm proud to be part of the organization that helps push this forward. It seems like we evolve a little bit more each year, and in doing that, it makes it better. This year, if I'm not mistaken, and I haven't gotten the final count on numbers, but we are close to 700 people attending this conference.
Yeah.
And that is an awesome,
it's awesome.
Awesome to think about, where 20 years ago, we probably had 100 people total.
Sure.
And that was gas and liquids. So it's amazing. We had 3 vendors when we first started, exhibitors, and now there are 77 of them.
70.
2 rooms.
2 rooms. Yes.
Soon to be 3 rooms.
Yes. Well, it has grown and grown, and we love it.
I see it as a model for other associations. Y'all are doing a great job. So kudos.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Well, I would ask the question.
I'll throw
it's begged.
I'm going to do it a little bit twist on it. Sue, you can choose one. I'm going to give you 2 items. You can choose one. Normally we would use beignets, but since we know that this is a favorite, we have to take it out. So,
okay.
Hurricane, Pat O'Brien's, or Gumbo, Oceana.
I'm going to throw in a third.
Go do it.
Or beignets with coffee with Jim and James.
Oh,
well, then there's no contest. It's the beignets with Jim and James. Can't go wrong with my pals here.
Set that one up.
I love it.
I knew she'd pick that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You were a bright spot in our industry.
Absolutely.
It was good to be with you yesterday. I'm 33 years in.
Oh, thank you.
We appreciate you sitting down with us this morning and literally having coffee with Jim and James.
I have had a fantastic time, and I love seeing y'all and being here. And it's just a great day all together because I'm here now.
Hey, do me a favor, because I would be sad if I came here and you didn't do it, because I know he's going to watch. If you would, say hi to Don Embry. He's going to watch this episode.
You are one of my favorite people, and I'm going to see you soon.
That's right. All right. Well, Jimmy,
That's
man,
fantastic.
what a treat to have Sue. Sue,
Thank
for
you.
all the work you do. I'll hug your neck here in a
Yeah.
minute. You're
Yeah.
covered in
Powdered sugar.
And powdered sugar everywhere
And
right
you don't
now.
want to reach across.
What a great.
Jim, I understand.
Well, that
I
might be.
want- It's an HR issue. Hey,
Cafe Du Monde.
yeah, no free sponsors. No, I'm just kidding.
We love it.
Hey, we'll be back.
See you in a bit.
Man, I said it a minute ago. We were cutting up before we were recording, but you've made it in life when they make a bobblehead out of you,
Yeah, especially when you're from New York City. New York City.
Obviously.
Road.
We're here with the number one cowboy. Jim Bob, do us a favor. There might be 3 people out there on this earth that don't know you.
2.5.
Introduce yourself to the audience.
Jim Bob Sims, public awareness consultant with the Paradigm Alliance.
The Paradigm Alliance. There's not a lot of swag items that I take home at these things. Okay?
No, there
I
isn't.
don't. There's
Yeah.
just not. I
No.
don't want any stuff. But I have Paradigm bag clips on all my chips at home.
Oh, do you?
It's one of the items that I take home. I'm just telling you. Man.
I mean,
Yeah.
seal
I
those
may
bags.
need another one. I know
That's
it's
good.
back.
I got some ship clips in my box.
I need one.
I know a guy.
I broke one.
I know a guy.
That's not what we're here for. We're live at the LGA this weekend. We grabbed Jim Bob. Jim Bob, is this your first LGA?
No, it is not.
What? How long you been coming?
Oh gosh,
Throw a number out there.
I don't know, probably 15 years.
Yeah,
Really?
I think
Yeah.
you and I back in the mid
Turned on the
2000s.
lights.
Yeah, we did. We
Yeah.
turned on the lights. It's probably 2000.
And slept up at the end of the night too.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It's a different story then. We
Yeah.
all pitched in, but it's
You
been
know.
it's Royal Sonesta.
Yeah,
Where it
yeah.
began. Yeah.
I've been, I've been with a couple of different companies over the years that I've been here, but
Yep.
yeah, I've been coming this way about 15 years.
It's an important event for you.
It is, especially now. Louisiana is a very important state for Paradigm. We have a lot of clients here.
It is for our
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
think about it.
Capital of the
Exactly.
Western Hemisphere.
You know,
lack of a better term than the states here in the Gulf.
if I only took care of Texas and Louisiana, that would keep me busy.
I bet it would. I bet it would.
Between the two, a lot of mileage, a lot of pipelines, a lot of clients. But no, this is a great place for me to be able to, not only seek out new opportunities, but to, solidify the relationships with the people we already have. This is a great place to do that.
Let me
love that.
jump in and build on that a little bit. For the people that come to this site, we all get it. We're breathing it and eating it every day, and we
Yeah.
understand the value.
Literally.
Yeah, literally is right. But for the folks that
Food's so good here.
yeah, for the folks that are watching and tuning in and saying, "Man, should I go next year to that LGA 192, 195?" What would you say to them?
I would say absolutely, just the networking opportunities alone. But, there's been some great sessions.
A lot of sessions,
The regulations are so fluid. They're changing all the time, and I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, I was in Austin at the Railroad Commission, conference, and, we try to keep up and stay current on this stuff and make sure that we're giving our clients the best information and the latest information available, and so, events like this are the best place to do that. Best place to get that accomplished.
You got to ask him the first question.
The
from
first
yesterday.
question,
Hit 'em
absolutely,
with
because
it.
this is the question.
This is what everyone's dying to know, Jim.
Okay, this is the question. This is the icing on the
Think back here 15 years.
15 years.
Okay.
I'm going to give you 2 choices. You can only pick one.
Okay.
A beignet at Cafe Du Monde or seafood gumbo at Oceana.
I got to go Cafe Du Monde.
Okay.
Oh, man.
All right.
The landslide continues.
I'm telling you what.
There's never a question.
It's probably 85%, 15% right now.
It's the coffee. It's the coffee.
That's
I
great.
love
there.
the chicory coffee.
Yeah, it's really good, isn't it?
Yeah.
And bring cash because they don't take credit cards.
Yeah, that's right. Jim Bob, you have always been a highlight for me, sir. And I met you early on in my career at Energy
Yes.
WorldNet.
Yeah.
And so, and this guy too.
Yeah.
And so I look up to y'all quite a bit.
I think
and
I think I
appreciate
met both of y'all maybe I shouldn't say this, but I think I actually met both of y'all through the TGA.
Yeah,
Through the
absolutely.
Texas Gas
I think
Association.
originally
That's
was,
exactly right.
and that was probably 2008 and 9 for
Yeah,
us.
it's been a long time.
It has been.
A long time.
Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate the work both y'all have done.
Well,
I
we
hope we
appreciate you.
continue to do it when y'all are. When are y'all going to be done?
We got a presentation coming up at 10, and
We're here all week.
Yeah, we got one at 10:30 right here.
Right here.
Yeah.
We're gonna be there.
I might join it.
Hey, we'll be back. Let's talk about the steaks we had last night.
Yeah, right.
More importantly, man, and how we learned about Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
So,
Pittsburgh.
I've never heard of such a thing.
Pittsburgh. Ed, tell us a little bit about the Pittsburgh.
Oh my gosh! So I can't even remember where I heard that term, but when I learned it, and you start asking around at different restaurants, the chefs have heard of it, right? It's whether they know how to do it properly or not, which is just searing the outside and making sure it has that good season seared in on the outside, and then having that, medium rare, whatever it is, right? It's really just searing burning the outside. Is all
See, Jimmy, when we talk about knowledge sharing,
This is it.
this is really what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I also want to knowledge share too that reminiscent of the Flintstones cartoon, the steaks that you guys
That's
had
not
last.
true.
These things, I think they
We're
were
respectable.
114 ounces.
Yeah.
That's not true.
I mean,
They're respectable,
It came out in
normal people
I
size.
mean, everybody wanted to just pick them up and
That
eat
good.
them off the
Good.
bone.
It was one of the best bites I've had here in a long time.
Before we get too
I
far,
know.
would you please introduce yourself?
Yes.
To
So I am Ed Landgraf. I am Director of Marine Safety and Operations at Texas 811. I am also chairman of an industry organization called CAMO, Coastal and Marine Operators.
Okay.
So what that is they
Please.
paint pipelines camouflage color, right? That's
That's
I'm
right.
just kidding.
That's right. It's just CAMO. It's
I was
typical.
going to see if I can make it up.
That
No,
looks like a juice
No,
moment. That was
no.
what
I
would
know.
do.
I was trying to channel you, but this is a really good topic because I've enlightened so many people since I've learned about it. Jimmy being one of them about camo. So do us a favor because
please explain that.
I don't think people understand, number one, what camo is, but how important it is.
Yeah. So excellent question. So CAMO, Coastal Marine Operators, we are an industry consortium of pipeline operators, but we're a little bit different than any other oil and gas industry organization because we also have environmental groups and we also have marine construction and dredging members of CAMO. So people often say, why would you have an environmental group or NGOs that are members of an oil and gas organization? And actually, we want to partner with them because they don't want to see spills in their environment, right? And they're always advocating for the industry to be cleaner. And my message to them is, well, you know what? The industry doesn't want to see spills either.
No.
So there's
thing,
actually some common ground there.
Yeah.
And we have actually used those environmental organizations to help get the message out to their constituents of what the oil and gas industry is doing to prevent spills and injuries. And so that's been some of the magic of CAMO that I'm especially proud of.
I thank you for doing that, first of all. And it's so important. I think we're just really, we barely even scraped the tip of the iceberg here. Is there a website that we can point people to? Because honestly, go ahead and share that and I'll tell my story in a second.
Yeah, that's fine. So camogroup.org, O-R-G, www.camogroup.org. And we're also going to have a new program that we're going to launch called Marine Safe 811, right? And so that's going to be a couple of months out, but it's going to be a one-stop shop for marine excavators. And when people think about marine, it's not just the ocean or the Gulf. It's actually many inland waterways, lakes, etc., that we are trying to protect.
This river right out over here called that Mississippi would also be applicable?
Exactly. So we do a lot of work in the Mississippi River. There are a lot of pipelines and other type of utilities, quite frankly, that cross that river and really other waterways across the U.S.
And I was just in your session and you were talking about some of the dredging going on in the ports to make it deeper, right? So that we can, for LNG and other purposes.
So larger vessels can start to come up and start using more of the waterways.
Yeah, that's correct. So across the U.S., there is almost a global expansion to have larger, deeper draft vessels that can carry more cargo, whether it's underwear, your cars that come made overseas, oil and gas products, really anything that is not manufactured in the U.S. A large majority of it comes via tanker ship here. I'm sorry, via ship here to the U.S. And these ports are not deep enough to accommodate those larger vessels, right? So those port expansions, they have to make them deeper, they have to make them wider. And when you get into those type of scenarios, the existing utility infrastructure, pipeline, sewer, cable, water, whatever it is, needs to be either deepened or relocated to make room for those larger vessels where they can actually increase the depth to get those vessels in there.
Dredge the river.
I.e. dredge the river, correct. Or other waterways, yeah.
So what used to be really good 15, 20 years ago as far as depth, now if it was 6 feet deeper or 8 feet or 10 feet deeper, is a whole world of difference for the amount or the size of the ship that is coming into.
That's correct. And they have this thing down to the inches. If you take a vessel, a typical container ship might actually be about 120 feet wide by 500 feet long. So if you just add 6 inches more depth to that, right?
You're going to hit something.
Along that whole distance, that's that much more cargo that they can carry, right? And so, so if they can just get 6 inches more depth of water to be able to get this bigger vessel in, it means a lot in the commercial and commerce.
A lot more underwear.
Impact. That's right. A lot more underwear. That's correct.
Well, we need to, as well as others. Interesting.
Ed, we're at LGA. You've been involved here for a while?
Yep. I've been involved in LGA for probably 10 years and very, very special group here. Very diverse group of different stakeholders, right? Absolutely. And so at CAMO, you know, we're all about safety and protecting the environment. We sell nothing, right? And our new program, our Marine Safe 811 program, is going to be that one-stop shop for marine damage prevention resources and support. And again, it's not just the Gulf Coast or the West Coast or East Coast. Many inland waterways have utilities that cross those waterways as well. So that's our niche, is to be able to work within those different stakeholder groups to protect that infrastructure.
That's awesome.
It's wonderful.
Man, we know last night that this guy knows this territory.
We do, and we have a very special
We're excited about this question.
This is one question only.
Okay.
We're going to finish it up. You get to choose one.
Okay.
Okay.
Only one.
Only one. One only. One bite. Never mind. Beignets, Cafe du Monde, or Hurricane, Pat O'Brien's?
Wow. That's a tough one. I don't even know if I can commit to answer that, but I will have to go with Pat O'Brien's Hurricanes.
Wow. See, I'm more of I would dip the beignet
in the Hurricane.
Is that? I don't know.
Yeah,
we're going to workshop that. That's for the next episode. Ed, thanks for all you do here.
Yep.
And all you do at our coastal areas. Man, who would have known? See? This is what we're talking about.
CamoGroup.org.
CamoGroup.org.
Please.
Hey, we'll be back. We're here with a legend.
We are.
Infamous, some would say.
Infamous or famous? Both?
I don't know.
Icon?
Both means something totally different.
Legend in your own mind counts. Is that
That's fine.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Mr. DeWitt Bordeaux, do us a favor. For those that don't know you, introduce yourself and give us it all started one day. Give us your origin story.
That's pretty easy. It all started one day when I was 19 years old, and I found myself as a 19-year-old unemployed teenager with bills to pay.
Okay.
And growing up in a small town, relatively small town, 50,000 people or so, Monroe, Louisiana.
Up north.
Lower Arkansas is what we're
absolutely. Yeah. Duck Dynasty territory.
Oh, right down the street.
Yep, absolutely.
Found myself unemployed, with bills to pay, and put application in all over town. Miraculously got 3 job offers in one day. 2 of them paid a whole quarter an hour more, which hey, that was a half gallon. That was a half gallon of gas back then, or a half pack of cigarettes. 2 primary necessities for a 19-year-old male.
Yeah.
What was the third one?
The third one was 25 cents an hour less. It was a meter reader, starting with the gas utility department of a combination electric and gas utility.
Okay.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is pretty much history, because fortunately my dad instilled a tremendous work ethic into me, and I had the foresight to look long term instead of grabbing that instant dollar, that whole quarter. And I looked at, back then in 1978, guys, working for a utility was a job for life.
Yep.
Still is in many instances. And I took it. And that's been the start of what will be a 45-year career in the pipeline.
No kidding.
You started when you were 4.
Started when I was 19. I have just
that's Jim's joke.
Say I'm going to age well.
A fine one.
So 12 years with what is part of Atmos Energy.
Sure.
So a lot of my former coworkers are here at LGA this week. We've renewed acquaintances because we all started back together in the late 70s, early 80s. Many of them are retiring. I'm still working. I'm not sure who made the right decision here, but I took some opportunities that came my way and spent a lot of time with the LADNR, the Pipeline Safety Group.
Yes.
To meet with a bunch of my coworkers at PHMSA, join the feds because they paid a lot more than the state. And, I've had some great bosses along the way who stood back and trusted my judgment, gave me the latitude to basically undertake anything that I wanted to reach out and grab, even though it was outside of my wheelhouse. It was an opportunity to learn. It was an opportunity to grow personally and expand my industry knowledge. And it's been phenomenal. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
That is an
you need a reason to get involved in our industry. That's a story like that, and we hear it all the time.
Yeah.
It's something to be proud of.
My first attendance to LGA, I was working for Translaw at the time, the part of Atmos now. And we were going through 3 days of PE fusion classes at one of these in Alexandria, Louisiana.
That's impressive.
Some of the early ones that I remember as I transitioned from the company to DNR, took on that inspector role. I also started taking on a training role and standing up and speaking at some of these little breakout sessions and so forth. We used to cycle back and forth between Alexandria and Lafayette.
Okay.
And then they up and made the decision, well, let's move to New Orleans. Everybody was, it was outside the comfort zone.
Sure.
And for us from North Louisiana, well, that was halfway across the country.
That is the big city down there, isn't it?
What are we going to do?
And it was a different country. North Louisiana versus New Orleans.
Oh, definitely. It's like very much different.
And then talking with a gentleman served on the board who Robert Bourne formerly. And Robert and I both go back that far, and we were sharing some of those old stories earlier. And it's like, these things every year and coming in the network.
Yeah.
And in addition to the breakout sessions and the training sessions and all that, it's invaluable. The conversations of just, wait, we do it this way. Well, we've done it this way because there's no one way to skin a cat, is the old saying.
And we're not skinning any cats necessarily. I mean,
well, we haven't been over the Bro Bridge yet. So anyways, that's a whole nother story. We'll do that later though. Let's lean in though to those early years When was your first LGA conference, and what role did you take in LGA conferences at that point?
The first one probably was around 1982.
And what was the LGA like at that time?
I'm not sure there was actually even an LGA.
Okay.
It was a state, so the Office of Conservation DNR sponsored conference.
Okay.
And it kind of led into the formation of LGA because as this thing started growing a little bit, it was bouncing back and forth to Louisiana, to Lafayette and Alexandria. Well, there's money involved. There is a registration fee, and somebody's lawyer, DNR, said, you guys can't be handling money.
Sure. Yep.
And that kind of
spurred
the growth of the association to be that
conduit. Yep.
Be that financial.
So you were on the ground floor, really. You and Robert
the
Bourne.
Lights on. That's what you turned the lights on that
had
first
the lights
day.
turned off a couple of times.
It's okay.
But it survived and made that leap to New Orleans. When we watched that attendance over the first 2 or 3 years, it struggled maybe that first year or so, but all of a sudden it took a leap from 100 attendees to what we see now. What was there, 600 this week?
Close to 700. Yeah.
Biggest one ever.
Yeah.
You must be proud.
Absolutely.
We're inspiring those folks that maybe haven't got a chance to come out. Number one, to LGA, or second, just maybe they're on the fence. What would you tell them that might motivate them to come out next year?
No, what I said earlier, the networking piece of it is just as important, in my opinion, as in the friendships that you'll make, the lifelong friendships that you'll make. Coming out of COVID in 21, okay, some people were starting to be able to travel, and there was some LinkedIn postings, and I don't post on LinkedIn a lot or comment a lot, but I'm pretty active in following, and somebody said something about a conference or whatever, and I'm like, all you managers out there, let your people go.
Yeah,
let your people travel.
There's no alternative.
Invest that $1,000 or whatever it may be in travel expenses, because you're going to get your money back tenfold. You're going to get it back in their satisfaction, their personal growth, their motivation to undertake new things and so forth, and just the free education you get from that networking experience that you're not going to get sitting at your computer on Teams.
You can't do this. Yeah.
That's true. It's true.
As we say, knee to knee, everything happens.
Yeah, even no matter how uncomfortable it is.
How much we fill up the space?
Hey, I'm in the middle. Okay.
Ham in the sandwich. Jimmy, you got to ask him the question.
Well, we ask one very important question at the end of every segment. This is critical. I'm going to give you 2 choices. You can pick one within 3 seconds. One. Okay, ready? Beignet from Cafe Du Monde or Hurricane from Pat O's?
As a regular diet, beignets.
As a regular. That would qualify their own question.
We can't argue with that.
I'm down with it. And I think we have some coming.
I think we do, yeah.
Hey, it's been great talking to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everything you've done for our industry, and you continue to do for our industry.
The LGA.
Yeah. And inspiring people to join our industry and take that leap that you did when you were 19. Let's go, folks.
Join us next year.
Please.
Hey, we'll be back. Jimmy, we're back just like that. Now the pace is picking up.
The pace is going.
Everybody's shooting around, getting in the sessions.
And we were able to capture a very important person to the LGA 192. Allegedly. Our friend, Mr. Stephen Giambroni.
Yeah.
And, we know you're busy, Stephen. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank y'all for being here. Thank you for Energy World Net. You guys are a sponsor. Been here for a long time. Certainly appreciate the support.
Absolutely.
And appreciate you guys doing this. It's really cool. This is really cool that you guys go around and
be sure to tell our bosses that. Steve, for those that might not know who you are, do us a favor, introduce yourself to the audience.
Stephen Giambroni. I'm the Pipeline Division Director for the state of Louisiana. Our pipeline division is under the Office of Conservation, which is our oil and gas commission. in Louisiana, and we're under the umbrella of the Department of Natural Resources. So you probably hear DNR a lot. That's the department we're under. But we do work for the Conservation Office. We have a commissioner who's appointed by the governor. It's actually the only state in the union where there's only one commissioner for the Oil and Gas Commission. Every other state has 3 or 5 or 7 or whatever. We only have one. So one person who has that authority. And we've been putting on this pipeline conference for, 30 plus years now. And we've been in New Orleans now for 20 years.
Yep.
And the partnership with the LGA has just helped it grow. And so it's been really great. Every year we're looking for new ideas for the conference and new speakers and topics and whatnot, and how we can organize a little bit better. And every year I think it gets a little bit better. I hear it does.
It's great.
I've only been here 2 years, and I'll say this one's better than last year. So that's an accurate
I've been
statement.
coming for 15 years.
Validation.
And it's one of my favorite conferences because the amount of information, key to it is the items you can take away and use for, as I say, the next 364 days.
That's right.
Those echoes that you can make when you bring all this information back home to the people who need it.
Definitely.
And we certainly appreciate PHMSA support. We have a lot of folks from PHMSA here. We know that the operators and the industry want to hear from PHMSA. I know they hear from me all the time, right? And they don't want to sit in that room and listen to me for 8 hours. So having PHMSA here and the other speakers who are here really helps make this a great conference. So
Can I ask you
really appreciate that.
a quick question? I think we're close to 700 attendees.
We are. We're at 660 pre-registered when we shut it down last Tuesday, and surprisingly enough, we'll have 50 or so walk-ups every single year.
Well, we need that final number because we have a poll going.
Yeah.
It's non-sanctioned by EWM, just under the table. Allegedly. So I need that count.
I think I'm at 692 allegedly.
Yeah, I was a little more hopeful.
Yeah, we'll get there. I think we were just under 700 last year, so we'll hopefully get there this year.
Well, this is an awesome event.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is only my second time to attend, but we're using this platform in a way to encourage people from back home why they should come out. What are some reasons? So coming from yourself, you must have a few reasons why folks back home may want to join us.
Well, of course we have great presentations, right? There's a lot of great information, but I'll tell you, over the years, this conference has helped me get to know the folks and allow the folks to get to know me and their other regulators. I've developed some great relationships just in the social hour, the networking. I've had operators tell me, I come every year and there's probably 4 or 5 presentations I'm interested in, but I'm really interested in the hallway conversations that we have here and the folks that I get to meet. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of networking that goes on here. Of course, we have 70 vendors this year. And so that's great. They're the support for the industry. They're providing services and products and doing the consulting and engineering for the industry. So it's great that they're here too, right? And it's not just the operators. We have nonprofits here.
Yeah.
And we have other state partners here. Our co-hosts are the Alabama Public Service Commission, Arkansas Public Service Commission, Arkansas Oil and Gas, Mississippi Public Service Commission, and New Mexico. And so it's great to kind of have sort of a Gulf Coast
really
feel to it.
Alliance of sorts. Yeah.
And we have folks from all over the country who come, right? So we had registrations out of 25 states and Washington, D.C. And so they come from all over. They come from as far as California and New York.
25 states.
25 states.
You said some numbers yesterday when you were opening. You said how many people were from Louisiana?
Right. So from Louisiana only, we'll be somewhere around maybe a little over half. And of course, we have a lot out of Texas. So there will probably be 150 to 175 from Texas, and the other 200 or so will be from all over.
And I noticed yesterday we from Alaska to Florida.
We have Alaska, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very
cool.
cool.
I'm still trying to draw someone from out of the country so we can call it an international pipeline conference.
It happened today.
Saudi Aramco.
Saudi Aramco is here.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's an international pipeline safety conference.
They are here. Actually, they stopped by the booth today. We're asking about compliance and
I'll introduce you. No.
Well, I saw the name Aramco. I didn't realize that was.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
we are.
There you go.
We just went international.
I need to meet them then. Absolutely.
Well, this is awesome. I think we have one more question.
We have one.
It's very important.
They told me no questions, so I don't know what's going on.
This is critical. Ready for this one?
Okay.
Beignets at Cafe du Monde or
beignets at Cafe du Monde.
Oh,
go ahead.
Or gumbo at Oceana.
Oh man,
I got him with that one.
Man, I love beignets.
Okay.
Yeah, beignets.
Yeah, we're 2 for 2 right now with that.
That's just the clear favorite.
I mean, you can get good gumbo different places, but if I want a beignet, that's not like you can just get that anywhere.
No, you can't. That is an icon.
So that's really
we're going to have some here at the conference. At maybe the afternoon break. I believe there's going to be.
We might have to do that live. Remember, we did some food critic stuff at some shows. I believe
we'll have some beignets. I don't want to get your. I
well,
feel fairly certain. Well,
if
they're not going to be here, I'm going to have to get them ordered now.
Well,
I like it.
And appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely.
We really
thank you.
We appreciate
everything you do in your friendship and everything you do for our industry.
Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate this.
We'll be back.
Yep. Thank you.
James, I'm calling this day 4, final day.
Day 67 of LGA. I mean that as a compliment. Like I really do.
I do too.
It's a long one, but you never feel it. Well, you do feel it. Some people feel it, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, some do.
Yeah, some people tie it on down here. But I'm just saying the sessions are great. Each day's different. The reception, there's like some classic things that happen. The event at the Royal Sonesta, like some of those things. Dinners, people have great dinners and lunches. I think having lunch at Drago's is like a whole thing, right?
Yep.
And so when people get to come here and network and be with their friends and do business, talk about our awesome industry and how we're getting better. And I think it's just unique. And you and I get to go to a lot of places, and we told a lot of people this week what's going on here at LGA is something special.
Well, it is really special, James, and I see it through your eyes because this is your second LGA event. Last year, you were. I mean, honestly, at one point I looked at you and you're like, this is far exceeding what I ever thought. And sometimes.
And I feel like that sounds offensive. I hope everybody knows what that means. I didn't have low expectations.
No, you had high expectations, but I think you
always talked.
And you were like
validation, right? Like we talked about it this morning.
Yeah, it wasn't, again, please, that's not a shot by any means, but I think it's really what I'm trying to say is by experiencing it, and being here firsthand, and we've asked so many folks this week, what do they want to say to folks out there that don't attend or maybe could attend and such like that, and they share it. But I just have to say that, I've been over 15 years here, and every year always exceeds my expectations. And every year is it's very similar in many different ways, but very different and unique in many different ways. But it's always enhancing and new topics and new challenges in the industry that we're overcoming and new innovations that we're adopting, and all those things that you see really come together for me.
What I've realized, and now being a part of it for 2 years, is there's tons of stories.
Definitely.
And people have been sharing those stories with us because of the podcast this week.
Yep.
At different times or different, it's like, oh, that was the blank year. Whatever. Is, right?
Yeah.
Or that was the year that you talked about this, and remember, or that was the NPRM year. What what I mean?
Yeah.
COVID, that was the first virtual, or when we came back. Each year has this iconic moment or these moments.
Yes.
And they're all built around these stories. And it's been neat this week to talk to so many people that are passionate, not only about the LGA, but hearing them say, arguably, this is the most important port and state, in the world for so many reasons. And to hear that, man, our industry's proud.
It's very proud, and sometimes we don't really even I have to stand back sometimes and realize that the Gulf states here, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, let's go across, really are the energy capital of the Western Hemisphere. So we are at the epicenter right here.
Yeah.
And when we sometimes I think we become just a little, I don't want to say blind, but just maybe used to that or whatever.
Take it for granted.
Yeah, that's exactly. I take it for granted. Sure. We take a step back and we see, understand, and hear. And even today, going down to the offshore port, that's something I've been in many different, over my years, different waterfront ports type of things. I've never been to this one. I'm excited to see it because I think I'm sure I'm going to learn something today. And that's the thing. And I mentioned that this morning when we were talking with Sue Guidry, the amount of people organically, when we walk around this conference, that are saying in little conversations, there are always conversations going on. Somebody will say, hey, I learned this, or hey, did you hear that? And they're sharing them. They're like, well, where'd you hear that one? Well, I was in this session over here and heard this. And it could be from two different pipelines, but they're just having conversations of sharing that knowledge because they know it's so important to what, James? Our industry.
Yeah. Collaboration was definitely the common thread this week that we heard. And that, like we said, the passion that folks have for this organization, LGA specifically, and then also that safe space. That's been created here by the regulators, the state, the bordering states now regionally, even bigger than that, vendors to contractors to operators, all working together again for pipeline safety.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's neat what's going on here. You mentioned earlier about sitting down with Sue.
What a treat, right?
Jim, we said it afterwards. It might be, and this is saying a lot because we've had a lot of guests.
Yes.
But this might be one of my favorite things we've ever done, and more so than any time before. It was very much coffee.
Yes.
With Jim and James, right?
Correct.
Which is crazy to say because that's literally the show and what we say we do all the time. But this morning we were drinking the quintessential cup in
Café au lait from Café du Monde.
Here in New Orleans. We were talking to the president of the LGA, Miss Sue Guidry, and we were just friends catching up at a conference like we tell people. That's what the podcast is.
Well, that's what the podcast is. And you afterwards,
I got cold chills.
I can see that. Yeah. But it's,
that's what we always wanted.
That's what it's about, because I'll tell you, we are friends. There's so many friends here. And how many times, though, James, over the last 4 days has somebody come up to you, totally unrelated to the podcast, totally unrelated to, let's say, Energy World Net, but they say, hey, James, do you know anybody that does this? And it could be welders or something. We'll pick anything, and people are just asking questions. And, when you spend time with Sue and all of our other friends casually, build up that trust, you build up that camaraderie between us, that friendship where, if I were to go to Sue and say, hey, Sue, do you know anybody this? She would look, she goes, let me find out for you. So it's almost like a little chain of it. Yeah, absolutely. And I love that.
Sue is a treat. One of the good ones for sure. And we are proud of her work over the past year. It was neat last night. We were with her and she said it was her 33rd year
anniversary.
Targa or, whatever company was bought,
rebranded,
whatever it was, but Targa essentially for 33 years, which is so impressive.
Yeah.
It's neat to see an icon like that. And she'll be handing over the gavel, so to speak, in November.
Correct.
So we'll be getting a new president with who we met.
Yeah.
Mr. President. So was that Larry Williams from
City of Walker?
Town of Walker.
There we go. Let's be careful now.
Yeah, I think it's Town of Walker. I did some. I did.
Did you stalk somebody on the internet?
We've got to eat some great food here, Café du Monde, twice.
Yeah.
And that by a landslide, I believe that won the question of the week.
Absolutely.
Over gumbo and patos, although patos came back stumbling at the end.
Easy now. Yeah. Allegedly.
I still have never experienced a hurricane from patos, so maybe next trip. Man, great being with you, brother.
Always, brother. I mean, honestly,
icon after icon this week.
Yeah, and let me just finish on my one thought. I came into most conferences like I did this one anxious and a little bit. I'm never nervous, but there's angst, there's anxiety to have a great week. I always want the conferences to be great, that we meet, talk, share, collaborate, all that. And I'll tell you, sitting here today, I have a very peaceful feeling that I think we hit all of the things that we could have done for the LGA and our industry by doing what we do here.
Yeah, let's lean into that for a minute because LGA was awesome.
Mhm.
Gave us a spot out here.
Yeah,
to bring
right
the
there.
show.
Yeah.
We actually was able to move locations and provide a different perspective mid show. So they helped us get some people on. They talked about the board. They've treated us fantastically from get go.
Yeah.
Anything we needed or wanted, they've been there, and they've been awesome. I'm saying as an attendee, one of the things they said in the opener was, "Let us know if something isn't quite right. Like we want to know so we can make it right.
Proactive.
If it's the air conditioner or the lights or right." So it was neat working with them always.
Oh, my goodness.
High grade.
Excellent. Outstanding.
Man, who all did we have on?
Oh.
Whitberdo was a champion always.
Carl.
With John Jacoby.
Yeah.
Who else was on?
I'm sorry, Carl Leger. We need to give the last name. I mean,
Red Safe. For sure. We had who was
Louisiana 811, Brent and
Cole.
I mean
Steve Giambroni.
Yeah.
Who gets these people?
Yeah.
Like we should not. Listen. Let's be transparent here. There's no reason y'all should answer our emails. But we appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, I mean really, and I think for us that continued realization. And we heard so many people where they came up and said, "Thank you for what y'all are doing."
Definitely. Yeah.
Talking with people like Freddie.
From Axe.
That knows marketing, that knows public awareness, and knows that there's a spot for us here.
The validation is humbling,
I know you can't see us, but I'm patting my heart right now.
I'm patting your heart too.
Oh, that's a lot. Getting a cinnamon roll from Chris. Man, that's love language here. Somebody had salsa they had made. Homemade salsa, like food is love here.